So today we're talking about how to construct a net worth statement. So net worth is the difference between assets and liabilities. Now when we're talking about difference, typically when we're talking about differences, we're talking about subtraction. So if you remember from last week, net worth is calculated by taking your assets and liabilities and subtracting your assets from your liabilities. So in personal finance, the value of a person's assets minus the value of all of the person's liabilities will get their net worth. Well, our assets are the things that you own, okay? So like it has positive value. When we think about assets, it's positive. If you are an asset to a team, you're positive. So examples of these are houses, cars, bicycles, positive bank accounts, and savings bonds. But a liability, if you're a liability to a team, you are kind of bad. So your the liabilities are debts that you owe. They have a negative cash value. So if your mom says, sure, you can jump off the house, but you're liable for the consequences, that is not good. So it's negative. Example of these are car loans, house mortgages, credit card debt, or student loans. So notice how a common theme here are loans. A mortgage is a type of loan. Debt. There's loan again. Right? Those are key words right there. So let's talk about what is an asset, what is a liability. So money in a savings account, that is an asset. You own that. You own your savings account. What about a car loan? There's that one word, loan. That's bad. Loans are liabilities because it is a debt that you owe. All right? Then we need to talk about a mountain bike. Is that something that you own or is that something that you're indebted with? That is something that you own, so that means it is an asset. All right, well, let's talk about rent and mortgage now. So your rent and your mortgage, that is something that you are paying someone else, okay? Your mortgage is where you borrow money from a bank or a lender to pay for your home. So this is a liability because it is a debt that you owe. Rent is something that you owe. Credit card, that is debt. So that would also be a liability. What about a savings bond? That's kind of the same thing as a savings account. All right, you're putting your money away towards something, and it's gaining more money on it. So that's actually an asset because you own it. You can cash it in for the money. And then a CD is something that you own also. It's called a certificate of deposit, and you can buy one of these and you can turn it in later for probably a little bit more money. So let's look at a few examples of how to calculate net worth. So the table shows some of Lance's assets and liabilities. What is Lance's net worth? So credit card debt, that is a liability. Cash, that's an asset. Loan is a liability. Car that's paid off, that's an asset. That's something that you could sell and you would get money back for. But in order for that car to be paid off, they have a car payoff of $5,600. This is a liability. That is what you are paying towards someone else, not something that you could get back. And then a savings is an asset. Down here we have an asset and liabilities table right here. So for y'all it's on the back, but on my slide it's right here. So our assets are cash, car payoff, the car. So our cash value is $800. I'm not going to put the cents because we really don't have any cents or any of these numbers. Our car value is $2,300. And then our savings account, which most people refer to just as savings, is $8,000, which is a pretty good amount in your savings account. So, when we add those all together, the total value of our assets is $11,100. Okay. But so that's how much, if we turned all those things in, we would own. All right, that's how much money we could get back if we wanted to sell everything, get rid of bank accounts, everything. We would get about $11,100 in cash, and you could go live in the woods. But first, you have to pay off your liabilities. So here, our liabilities are the credit card debt, which is a debt of $2,730. Then we have our loan debt, which is $5,670. Then we have our car payoff, which is $2,300. So when we add all those together, we get $10,700. So if I wanted to sell everything I had, get rid of all my bank accounts, go live in the woods, the total amount that I would have to do that with would be $11,100. Well, no, because I have to pay off my liabilities. I owe that credit card company. That just doesn't disappear. You can't just make that disappear. So this is where we get net worth at. So our net worth is going to be, so our net worth is going to be our assets minus our liabilities. So when I subtract 11,100 and 10,700, that gives me 400. That is my net worth right here, 400. I would really only have $400 to run off in the woods with, which is great, except I don't own a tent. I need a tent. All right, another example. The table shows some of Greg's assets and liabilities. What is Greg's net worth? All right, so let's start off by putting our A's and L's. So, jewelry, is that an asset or a liability? Well, that's something you own. So, that is an asset. So, jewelry is an asset. Stocks are an asset. So, stocks are where you invest in stuff. So, it's money you actually have to have. You can't borrow from Peter to pay into Paul's stock. So, you have to own money in order to do that. Car that's paid off, that's also an asset. But then credit card debt. So, debt's that key word. Liabilities. Credit card's also a key word. Credit cards typically means you're borrowing money to just pay for something right now, to pay it off later. Savings is an asset. Students' loans? Ooh, loans. Loans is a liability. So, jewelry is $800. So my jewelry is worth $800. My stocks are worth $9,600. My car payoff is Car payoff, that's paid off, is $2,590. Right, then I have my savings, which is 5,000. Okay, when I add all my assets together, I get 17,990. All right, now let's talk about liabilities. So we obviously don't have that many liabilities. We have credit card debt, and then we have student loans. Student loans aren't fun. Get your college paid for, or work it off while you're in college as much as you can. So credit card debt is 4,300. Our student loan debt is 6,120. When we add our liabilities together, we get 10,420. All right. So that our assets are 17,000.